takes the snap. He's back. He's going to run. He's in! Touchdown! Jalen Hurts! The Eagles are just devouring the Giants. And it is A.J. Brown again! Another touchdown!
Welcome back to the Link lineup. Press the mute button one extra time. That's on me. This is the first episode of our new draft show that we're going to try to do throughout the year. Obviously, once the summer happens, it's going to be tough to talk about it just because we haven't seen the college prospects. But we want to keep it going that way throughout the year. We can talk about who the Eagles could draft, who we should draft, and who to look at, just to keep your college experience nice and steady. Today I have Bryce, the draft guy. Yeah, me, not a draft guy, but I'm learning, figuring it out. And today's a fun show, in my opinion. That's basically the right place to start. We're doing the top 10 quarterback prospects of this year's draft, and it'll be a fun one. So we got our 10 prospects, and we're going to talk about each of them, as well as some Eagles draft news that I feel like we could talk about. So let's talk about the Eagles draft real quick. I just got a question, then we can move right along to the top quarterbacks. So I ask you this off air, but I'm gonna ask you it on here because why not? Is there a draft prospect that a lot of fans and media people are mocking? Is there a player that they're mocking to us that you're just not a fan of?
So I will say pretty much any of them that I've seen, I could see it happening. It's very there's a lot of reasoning behind every single one that I have seen. But the ones that I feel like the fan base wouldn't like and wouldn't really necessarily get behind is any of the tackles that's being mocked there. Tackle from BYU, Tyler Guyton from Oklahoma. To the point that, you got to think also with those picks, they're looking forward into the future, probably 2 to 3 years. With Lane Johnson closing out his career. But I understand it. But at the same time, to me, you got a lot more holes than the tackle positions.
Yep.
And if anything, you could look to free agency to sign some veterans. Say Lane does go down or something like that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've always been the guy that would be upset at a offensive line pick in the first round. I remember when Andre Dillard was picked. I was sad. I was very sad. That was not a pick I wanted, and I think we saw why. But was he good coming out of college? Was he projected to get picked there?
Yeah. I don't know right there. He was projected to go first round though.
Oh. Well,
he was definitely a later first round pick. Coming out of college, he was kind of known as a good pass blocker.
Right.
Because Washington State's their offense was really kind of air raidish. So
didn't pay off for us. But I'm like I said, I don't want to pick right there. I don't. Obviously, my dream draft is defense, first 2 picks, maybe first 3, and then maybe trade for another pick in the 3rd round and get a slot receiver. I think that'd be my dream draft right there. But particular player, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., just my player that I don't want, but the fans seem to want. Obviously, I know why they want him, but to me, it's just not a good pick for us. I don't think. he, like I said, previous shows, he's very similar to Nakobe Dean as far as like size goes. Probably a little bit better of a prospect and overall linebacker than Nakobe Dean was, but I need a big, meaty, athletic linebacker on this team, and that's what we need to go for. But yeah.
You also got this linebacker class it's deep, but it's not deep to the point that you would be looking to take somebody early in maybe the first round or something like that. Plus, Howie Roseman doesn't value them that high ever. Nope. So, to me, it'd be a long shot to ever see Jeremiah Trotter. And to this point, honestly, it might be a long shot to see Edgerrin Cooper as well. You might want to look to guys more like Junior Colson or Michael Barrett from the 2 linebackers from Michigan. Maybe in like the 4th or 5th rounds, in the later rounds. Maybe if they even make it there, teams might value them a lot higher than the Eagles will. But if it was up to me, the dream draft for me would be a corner in the 1st and pray to God somehow A.D. Mitchell or Xavier Worthy fall to you in the 2nd round and take one of them and then you could, because it'd be the number 50 overall and then you have 54. So you take a receiver, you take one of the receivers with 50 and then hope Edgerrin Cooper falls to 54 and you could take him there.
Edge.
That'd be my dream. First.
I'll take edge.
First 3 picks.
I'll take edge.
Yeah. We know you're a Peyton Wilson guy.
Peyton Wilson's my guy. Peyton Wilson will always be my guy. That's my pick. I'll be very happy with that pick. Give it to me. You ready to talk quarterbacks?
Yeah.
All right. So we do have an honorable mention section in this this episode. I didn't really bring this up whenever we were talking about what we're going to do for this show, but I figured I'd bring it up now. Is there obviously you know the top 10 that we're going to do. Is there a quarterback that's not in the top 10 that you would like to highlight that obviously might not be a star at all, but might be a quality backup that some people should be looking at for their team?
I would lean. He kind of had a rough. It wasn't really a rough year, but to me, it was kind of a downside kind of year for him. Devin Leary from Kentucky. He had, to me, he gets in the right offense, and he could be a serviceable backup for some people. If the Eagles fucking decided to pick him up as like a UDFA or later in the round, I wouldn't hate it. But he played well at NC State the years that he was there. Transferred to Kentucky. Kentucky's offense is kind of weird for quarterbacks.
It's changing this year.
They put a lot on their shoulders for them to do well, but at the same time, they're kind of a run heavy. They were kind of a run the football team this past year with Ray Davis. But to me, Devin Leary is he's not a bad quarterback.
Well, as a Kentucky fan, part-time Kentucky fan, I didn't like him. So, but I understand. I didn't like Will Levis either, but look at Will Levis now. So,
yeah. You could throw Sam Hartman in there. He had a bad senior bowl, but
he had a terrible senior bowl.
He had a bad Senior Bowl game, but he had really good practice.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch him based on what we saw from that game.
Yeah.
Not a chance in this world. All right, so I guess we're ready to reveal our top 10. So hold on to your horses because here we go. Number 10, we got Michael Pratt from Tulane. What's some insight that you know about Mr. Michael Pratt?
Well, I know Michael Pratt last year played USC, played against Caleb Williams in a bowl game, balled out, ended up beating USC. Kind of put his name on the map there, put his name on the radar. He's a very solid quarterback. He's got decent size to him. Doesn't have a crazy amount of arm strength, but he would be. You get him in the right system with the right quarterback coach, he could prosper into being a pretty good quarterback for whichever team decides to take him.
Yeah, I think he has right now a day 3 grade. I think that he has opportunity to turn into a very good backup in the league. He started, I believe, I don't know if he started his freshman year. I have to look that up, but from his freshman year on, he progressively got better, and that's something you want to see, especially whenever it comes to quarterbacks in college. You don't want to see them dip at all. So this is like the perfect rise. He could definitely sneak into day 2, late day 2, but as of now, it's definitely day 3. We'll see what happens with his workouts. And if he is invited to the combine, I don't know if he is. He has to be because they have to have some quarterbacks there. So the only issue with Michael Pratt is he's like a pocket passer, right? And every year we go through this is like teams don't want the prototypical pocket passers anymore. Example, Tanner McKee. If the league was what it was 10 years ago, he'd been top 3 rounds, 4 rounds, something like that.
Yeah.
Probably top 2, maybe. And this is what's going to hurt Michael Pratt is the fact that he's just a pocket passer. He doesn't have the athleticism to get out of the pocket and make plays. It's just he has enough to maybe get out, but he's not going to run. He's not going to take off and run. He's not going to be a threat. And teams aren't going to prepare for that. He doesn't have super great arm talent as far as strength goes. My bad. He has arm talent, but he's not going to beat you deep. His bread and butter is going to be the short to intermediate routes. But he definitely won't kill you on the deep ball. But like I said, he'll be a solid. He'll be a solid backup, and who knows? Because obviously, people don't know shit sometimes. Sometimes you can turn somebody from what Michael Pratt is right now and turn him to an all-time great. We don't know, but that's the beauty of the draft and the beauty of what we do here is we go over prospects and they either prosper and make us look really dumb or really good, or vice versa. So, day 3 definitely for me right now. To be determined if he can move up to day 2. Anything else that we might have missed before we move on to our number 9?
No, I think we nailed that one.
Do you know if Tulane played anybody because what conference is Tulane in?
It's not Conference USA, is it?
I know it's not in the big conferences. Do you ever get concerned with competition when it comes to quarterbacks?
Not really. Well, it depends on what you're I don't know. It doesn't bother me too much when it comes to quarterbacks, because if you can spin it, you can spin it. You know what I mean? It's not. Everybody, no matter the level of play you go, you're going to be playing against all the same type of defenses. You know what I mean? When it comes to coverages and stuff like that, they just do. Different people mask stuff differently. You know what I'm trying to get at. But,
yeah, if you can read defense, you can read defense. Every college defense is going to have cover 4, cover 3, cover 2. Player 1 play man. They're going to blitz. So if you can read it, that's you have a head start.
Right. So Tulane went
understand.
11-3 last year. They were 5-0 on the road, which is good. They played Ole Miss last year. I do remember that. Kind of gave Ole Miss a game there for a little bit, and it turned in. Ole Miss started to pull away. Other than that, they played Memphis, beat Memphis. SMU, Virginia Tech. I think they played Virginia Tech in the bowl game, and they lost that game.
Well, like I said, like we said, solid prospect. There's a reason why he's top 10 on this list. There is some upside there. Just to be determined who we get stuck with. Number 9, somebody that I think I'm familiar with because he is playing in my state. Spencer Rattler from South Carolina. He started at Oklahoma, which I believe that's right. Yeah, he started at Oklahoma, transferred to South Carolina. It seemed like he turned his career around once he went to South Carolina. But what do you know? What do you know about Spencer?
Well, I know Spencer was highly touted coming out of high school. Decided to go to Oklahoma, play. Was going to play for Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley obviously took a job at USC. Spencer's always been a kind of a weird prospect for me because, I mean, he's mobile, but that's definitely not his first instinct. You know, he wants to throw the ball. Had some played well in some pretty big games at South Carolina. I know last year, year before, the North Carolina game to start out the year, he played really well. Last year, played against Tennessee when Tennessee was rolling. Had Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker obviously went down with an injury that game, but that was a really good game from Spencer. He's definitely undersized. He's got the smaller frame, but he still has good arm talent. Kind of with Michael Pratt, he doesn't have a crazy deep ball, but he can definitely kill you in short and intermediate routes. Had a hell of a wide receiver one in Xavier Legette at South Carolina. That
My
he's a
guy.
baller. South Carolina offense, they like to air it out too. I like Spencer Rattler. I don't ever see him kind of pushing to be a starter in the NFL. Kind of with Michael Pratt, kind of same thing. He has the potential to be a very good backup.
Yeah, I think the first thing he has to do at the next level is work on his pocket habits. He definitely has a tendency to leave the pocket whenever, there is no need. Which it seems like it's a pretty popular problem among young quarterbacks. He doesn't have elite speed, so he's not going to kill you, but he has enough to move around and gain a couple of yards if he has to. But he's not Michael Vick. He's not Jalen Hurts.
Right.
He's not Lamar, but he has enough. He tends to retreat backwards. He tends to just go as far back as he can, just like you would in Madden, where you just try to make something happen. But these off-script plays he does well. But that's the problem is it happens too far often, and you don't want to see that, especially if there's a beautiful pocket set up for you. Like you said, he doesn't have super elite deep ball strength, but he has like almost elite accuracy. It's just what his issue seems to be the mental aspect of quarterback, not throwing the ball into super tight windows because he will force it to wide receivers. But I mean, he has everything else. He has accuracy. He has a super lightning quick release. And he's good outside the pocket too. Just you can't bail on the pocket if it's there. That's his
Right.
that's his biggest knock. But like I said, it seems like he has elite talent. It's just like I said, the mental aspect of it is what he seems to struggle with. But anything else before we move on to number 8?
Good.
Number 8 is a quarterback that has been mocked to the Eagles on some mock drafts. I'm not in love with him. But some of you might be. Joe Milton from Tennessee. SEC ball, man, just back to back. What do you have on Joe Milton?
So Joe originally started out at Michigan, transferred to Tennessee, and Joe he's definitely had the strongest arm in this class. This guy
He's also one of the bigger guys.
Yeah. He's got a tall frame, fills out with his weight in that frame as well. He's mobile, but at the same time, he likes to stand in the pocket too. And the biggest thing with Joe is his decision making.
Yeah.
He'll throw some crazy balls like why would you throw that, or what did you even see to throw that? But if you put him at the 5-yard line, he could chuck it down to the other 30. I mean, he can go to the 30 or 20. I mean, you put him in the NFL right now, he's definitely probably a top 5 strongest arm in the league. He's got – it's kind of ridiculous, like his arm talent. Michael Key said, I don't hate him, but I don't want him. That's fair. I think if you put him with the right quarterback coach and they can help him with his decision-making and reading defenses better, he could prosper into being a pretty damn good quarterback. To me, he's kind of like a much less athletic Anthony Richardson, because Anthony Richardson has a cannon of an arm. And sometimes Anthony Richardson's decision-making is kind of wonky, but Anthony Richardson also is an incredibly gifted athlete. I wouldn't hate it if the Eagles drafted him just to add more competition to the room. Maybe you can learn behind Jalen and learn how to read some defenses. But he played some good ball at Tennessee. So I wouldn't hate Joe Milton.
Yeah. You think day 2, right?
Yeah. Probably day 2. Maybe early day 3.
Yeah. Same thing for Spencer, by the way. So yeah, I mean, Joe Milton has a fucking cannon for an arm, right? He has a cannon. He's athletic, but he just sometimes just doesn't want to run. I don't blame him. I don't want to get hit either. But as you saw in the Senior Bowl, I think he was scrambling and threw across his body through a pick. That's a knock on him, right? Is just decision making.
That's a no-no. That's one of the first things you're taught as a quarterback.
Yeah. And then the rest of it is part of it's just like the college offense, which is usually one reads, and that's what you're taught. So he's stuck on, once he has his first read, he's stuck on it, doesn't work out. It's full chaos, scramble, try to make something happen. So hopefully in the NFL, he can maybe go to second and third read. Obviously that's like what you want, but it's not always practical, just because there are some big dudes trying to chase you down. One of the biggest knocks I have on him though is if, let's say, wide receiver running an hour out, right? Instead of throwing it like as he's breaking, so whenever he turns, the ball is there. Boom. That's what I was thinking of, but I could not do it. I couldn't think of that word, that phrase. So I had to try to explain it. But yes, he doesn't throw with anticipation. He has like a whole second delays that at the next level, DB's going to read that and eat him alive. Do you think you would classify him as like not superstar, like potential, but like very
Very
good.
starter.
Yeah. If he can work on like some of his negatives, which all these guys can do it, but he has like everything you need. He has athleticism, he has arm talent. He just lacks the mental side of it. And like that next level just quarterbacking that you would need.
Yeah.
I hate that I said
But
next level.
he's weird though, because he will impress you with some throws and some reads, and he'll like it could be 3rd and 5, they run a slant, beautiful, they blitz, they run a slant behind it, and he just misses them completely. You know what I mean? Like he's not very consistent.
Yeah.
And that'd be like one of the biggest knocks on him.
Yeah. But like I wouldn't hate him. But I think there's another guy on
He
here
can
that
fill
I
out
would
a
definitely
uniform.
like.
If you go to a game and look at him, you're like, holy shit, what does he play?
I mean, I think he's 6'5", 230, if I'm not mistaken. 6'5", 235. Big guy. I hope that he prospers because, exciting quarterback play is definitely what I like to watch. Somebody that can be, electric. He has the potential to be that. It's just you gotta figure it out. Let's move on to number 7, a guy I want no parts of at all. Bo Nix from Oregon. Tell me about him, Bryce.
So it feels like this guy's been like a 30-year starter in college. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, I can't remember what high school class he came out in. Something is telling me it was 2018, which was my class. But started at Auburn, kind of had a tough stretch there at Auburn, transferred to Oregon. Has actually played really well for Oregon. Chase, as you know, one of our buddies has been in love with Bo Nix ever since he was in high school.
Who?
Wyatt.
Oh, Wyatt. Bo Nix, I have some bad news for you. That's not good. That's not a good thing.
Wyatt, our buddy Wyatt said he would be jumping for joy if somehow the Saints ended up with Bo Nix. I told Wyatt, as would I, because to me the Saints wouldn't be a factor. But as much as I shit on Bo Nix, he has played well. He played really well this past year, but I think a lot of it might have been the product of Dan Lanning offense. Even though Dan Lanning is a defensive-minded guy, but you just kind of look at the star talent that they had on that Oregon offense. It's kind of hard to not succeed, I guess. Played well in some big games. Lost to Washington twice. Another guy that we have on this list played a lot better than him. I don't know why we have Bo Nix ranked as high, because he's kind of has higher than what he is to me, because he's the same as kind of like Spencer Rattler. He's kind of in that tier.
Hey, you did the numbers here. I compiled a list.
Yeah, looking back on it, yes. I don't know why I kind of ranked him here. Maybe just based off name and where they played and what he's done. You play this many years in college, you're bound to succeed at some point, if that makes sense. He doesn't have crazy arm talent.
Right.
I'll go ahead.
To be fair, I think he's going to be drafted higher than the guys before him, just because they're going to fall in love with him for whatever reason.
Right. He's Bo Nix is actually a good decision maker. He knows how to play the quarterback position. Doesn't make errant throws, but he doesn't have like the arm talent that some of these other guys on this list has. He can throw a accurate deep ball, but at the same time, it's not like crazy arm strength like we talked with Joe Milton. That offense ran a lot of intermediate routes. Did a lot of screens with the Tyler. I'm pretty sure his name's Tyler Johnson, one of the receivers from Oregon. I don't really know about Bo Nix, though. I don't know. He's a question mark to me. He can either be really good or he can be really bad in the NFL. I don't know. What do you think about him?
He's going to be 24 this week. Which if you're drafting a quarterback and you look at him as a potential starter in the future, 24 is kind of a older guy in the rookie class, because Jalen's what, 25.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to compare everything to the Eagles, but to compare, Jalen's going to go in his fourth year, right? Fourth year. Yeah. Fourth year, and he's 25 years old. Bo Nix is about to be a rookie, so that's a knock for some people. He doesn't, like you said, doesn't have elite arm talent. He lacks the drive on the ball to fit tight windows. So across the middle of the field on tight windows, he's going to struggle. Sometimes he holds onto the ball a little too long because he is taking care of the ball, but he'll anticipate a break and it'll be correct, like the anticipation, but he'll second guess himself. Sometimes you gotta let that thing fly, and don't be scared of the consequence that may happen. If it's a pick, but it was a good throw, it is what it is. Don't worry about it. Move on. But he's very athletic. Defenses will have to respect him when it comes to his mobility. Like I said, I do think he will be drafted before 8, 9, and 10. So that's why I think it's okay to put him here at 7. But I'm not in love with him. It was funny because I forgot what the video was. I forgot who it was, but the one-on-one wide receiver cornerback drills, and the running, I think, it was like 5 yards, 10 yards short, and then like the person who tweeted that video out was like, by the way, that was Bo Nix that threw the ball, and made me laugh because I'm not in love with him, but yeah, I think. You think he goes like the first 3 rounds?
Yeah, probably. He'll get picked up in probably the third, probably middle of the third somewhere.
Do me a favor, Howie. Do not do it. Do not do it. Don't do it. Please don't do it. But I mentioned earlier there is a quarterback on here that I would like. In an Eagles uniform, he's been mocked to us a couple times. And that is Jordan Travis from Florida State. Florida State, what a sad year, huh? What a sad year.
That sucks, dude.
Do you think they would have won it all?
To be fair, if Jordan Travis played, they would have. I would have put him in I would have probably put him in the national championship game.
Do you think they would have won?
I don't know if they would have beat. Well, if they was in Alabama spot, they'd be playing Michigan.
So yeah, probably, huh?
Yeah, probably. That Michigan, I mean, that Florida State team is just a complete different team with Jordan Travis under center. I got all the hat off to Jordan Travis. I got all the respect for him. I think if he ends up in the right situation, he could push for the starting quarterback spot.
Think so?
Yeah.
Well, what are some of the pros and cons about him?
Well, so he is an athletic guy, but being in the Florida State offense, they didn't really ask him to be an athletic guy, just with the sheer amount of weapons that they had outside, Keon Coleman, Johnny Wilson, and company. He's going to make the right reads. He doesn't really have lackluster arm talent. It's kind of in the medium good arm talent range. But he will kill you in short and intermediate routes. He throws with anticipation, stands tall in the pocket, and he can deliver a ball. He He's really impressed me over these past couple of years.
Yeah. I didn't know too much about him because I started watching a little bit of college this year. But what I do know about him is he's a threat with his legs, and in today's NFL, that's huge. Like you said, he has average to above average arm talent, which with legs and that kind of talent, you're good in this NFL. And this NFL today, that's something that beats a pocket, a pocket passer. So like he's going to be able to escape the pocket if you need to. You can drop some QB runs with him, and he's good enough. He's good enough to pass the ball as well. Wouldn't necessarily say the deep ball is his specialty, but like most of these guys on here, short to intermediate routes is what we've seen throughout their career, and that's their bread and butter. So he has enough arm strength to make it to the next level. It's just putting it all together and being in the right system, because if he goes to a system that has like, I don't know, like a Tom Brady in it, and they have like that scheme, he's not going to succeed. But for the most part, you put him almost on any team in the NFL, he has a shot.
For some reason, the immediate team that pops up in my mind that'd work for a good situation for him would be the Raiders. If they decide not to take a quarterback as high and take like a project one, I could see him going to the Raiders and succeeding, jumping all over that offense.
Yeah, he tore his ACL, right?
Broke his leg.
Oh, even better.
Yeah.
Will he be back in time for training camp and stuff?
Yeah.
Well,
he broke his leg kind of towards the latter end of the season.
It was November, right?
Yeah, it was around there.
Yeah, because it was before.
It was tough.
It was before the conference championships. But yeah, I think he'll be drafted. Do you think top 3? The top 3 rounds. Sorry.
I don't know. Probably.
Or do you think he'll drop 5th? Yeah.
Yeah, probably 5th round the latest.
4th and 5th is where I'd put him at too. With a chance to go.
It would sucks because I think he's a lot better quarterback than Bo Nix. Like he would deserve like the third rounder compared to Bo Nix would, to me, in my eyes. But whatever. I don't get paid to do this, so obviously I don't know shit.
Yet.
Yet. If I somehow end up on a scouting department from some NFL team, then
we can look back to this moment and say we made it.
Yeah.
Let's see. This guy it's kind of confused me because maybe I just haven't seen enough of him. He's gotten first round like pick buzz this past week. Maybe you can talk me into it, talk me out of it. But at number 5, we got JJ McCarthy. Like I said, I saw a couple mocks this past week, including some from like The Athletic, that have him like in the top 20. I don't see it, but maybe you do.
I think that's going to end up being where he falls, where he goes.
Do you think it'd be a reach?
Look at a team. I don't think so, because I think he's a good quarterback, but I don't think he is on the echelon of the ones that are going above him, if that makes sense. Granted, he is a starting quarterback of a national championship team. So, I mean, he's obviously had to do something right, but he's a very accurate quarterback, and he makes good decisions. Michael Key says reach. I can see where people think it's a reach, but I don't know if I'm. So the only situation I could see him in, to me, would be the Minnesota Vikings job if they don't bring back Kurt. And that's an offense where he could succeed in, but they're going to have to do some more things to help him succeed in that offense. He's actually got some pretty good arm talent. He makes good decisions. He kind of carved up Alabama's defense there in the semifinal, and he looked really good in the national championship game. But he has made some mistakes, some decisions. He had trouble when he first got the quarterback, the starting job. But it's definitely a guy who's got, I think, more potential than he does. So the best way I'm sitting here trying to describe it, and I was thinking of the phrase. The best way to describe JJ McCarthy: high floor, low ceiling, if that makes sense. Like, you know what you're getting with him kind of already. And I don't know if you can get much more from him.
Yeah. He definitely has like arm strength, right? He has it. He struggles with ball placement. And he struggles with just adding touch, on his passes. Whenever it comes to, hey, we gotta get that ball in that tight window, he's gonna do it. He's gonna make it happen. It's just getting it over defenders, especially whenever the defenses are playing zone, they're facing the quarterback, especially like long linebackers. He's going to struggle because he just doesn't seem like he has that touch in his game
Right.
that he needs. So you have all the tools there. It's like things. It just seems like things that are so easy to fix that he just hasn't fixed yet. Because
Right.
I feel like with a good quarterback coach, you can be like, hey, finesse, baby, finesse. You're gonna have to finesse it in that window.
To me, when you think of JJ McCarthy, that's what you want to think is that he succeeds in. A lot of touch passes and adding finesse on the ball and throwing with anticipation. Not kind of stepping up and driving on the ball, more so lofting it in there, getting it in where it needs to be. That's what you want JJ McCarthy to be, I think.
Yeah. But I mean, he's very good in the pocket. One of the first we can say out of this
He's
group
kind
of
of a
people.
bigger guy, is he not?
He is
Taller?
Stuff here. He is 6'3", 202. So he's 6'3", but he does have a smaller frame.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's athletic too. I don't know if I said that already, but he has all the tools. He needs a good system. I think he can be. I think he'd be good.
He could be a starter in this league.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure.
And I think like in the draft that's a win, right? If you draft a quarterback to starter, or even like a high end backup, that's a good pick.
Yeah.
So,
but I think for any team that drafts JJ McCarthy, they're not going to draft him to be a backup, if that makes sense.
Definitely, especially if they're going to pick him in the first round. I think he'll go in the second round. But I think if you draft in the first round, you're taking a chance, and you're like, that's putting your job on the line right there. So a desperate team will pick him in the first round, if that does happen. But if not, you can definitely see him go in the second round to a quarterback needy team.
Right.
Anything else before we move on?
I don't know. Like with him, I will throw this out there too. He is a very good leader. He's got a really good head on his shoulders.
He's a winner too.
He is a proven winner. What I thought was really cool, because they kind of highlighted it during that Alabama game. When he was maybe a freshman or in his early years in college, he dealt with depression a lot. And if you ever see him pregame, he'll walk around and do like meditation and kind of put himself into a spot where he feels more comfortable. And he's
typically
talked about it.
Underneath the goalposts right there, against the padding.
He's talked about it before. He kind of dealt with anxiety and depression a bunch. And like whenever you hear that talked about, like with NFL players, it makes you realize that they're still human beings. It kind of makes me pull for them in that aspect. Kind of want them to succeed, but he, with all that stuff going on, he has proven that he can be a leader of a national championship team and play well enough to get his team there. Because let's not forget that Michigan team was pretty loaded. I mean, that it is a loaded team. So it's not like he was carrying that team himself, but he had to put himself and other guys in position to make plays and win games. So, and it worked out for him. He won national championship. So, I'm kind of excited to see where his career goes.
Well, it'll be interesting because I think he's going to get a shot at some point. It just depends on when. But yeah, let's take a very quick break and hear a word from Bet Online. We'll be right back.
Calling all sports fans. It's time to play at Bet Online, America's #1 website to back your favorite teams. We've got all the major sports covered at Bet Online. Football, baseball, basketball, hockey, MMA, golf, and tennis. With the earliest odds, best props and futures, as well as 24/7 customer support. If you love it, Bet Online has it. Join us and we'll treat you to a huge welcome offer. Sign up today at Bet Online. The game starts now.
All right, and we're back. That was Bet Online. Thank you for continuing to support us. Check out our link tree. They have like they said, a welcoming offer for anybody that still wants to bet. I know some of us, our betting season's over with, but baseball is just around the corner and basketball is still here. So there's plenty of betting opportunities. So thank you again to Bet Online. All right, you ready for number 4? Because I am.
Yep.
This one's a fun guy, I think. Jaden Daniels from LSU. Why the face?
No, I don't know. I like Jaden Daniels. I will say that. I like
All right.
Jaden Daniels. I'm not near as high on Jaden Daniels as a lot of people are. I'll say that.
All right. Well, tell me why.
So, Jaden Daniels, Heisman winner. To me, he didn't deserve that Heisman. I don't think he should have won it. The next guy, I think he's the next one, is my Heisman winner. I was kind of preaching it all season. But I like Jaden Daniels. I think he might be a product of that LSU offense. Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., who has been on the Eagles, Mox. Those are 2 really good receivers, and he threw a lot of balls to him. Made a lot of plays with his legs. He's very athletic. I'll give him that. And to me, that's something I didn't know really that much about him. I didn't know he was as athletic as he was, but he kind of, before he got hurt in the LSU Alabama game this past year, he's kind of messing them up, running all over the Alabama. But I'm I'm not as high on Jaden Daniels as others. He's got good arm strength. He's got good arm talent. But to me, sometimes his decisions are kind of wonky. Like you said, we talked about before. To me, he kind of struggles throwing into tighter windows. But I just don't agree with some of the, like how high he's been mocked. I've seen mocks as like the second pick to the Commanders.
Yeah, that's what I was wanting to say too.
And I don't know if I really agree with that. But I don't know. How do you feel about him?
Well, here's problem number 1. He's 6'4", 210, right? So he's tall and he is not the biggest guy in the world. You could call him the second coming of the Slim Reaper, you know.
Right.
But we got the OG. Thank God for that. But he's good. He's good in my opinion. He's just inconsistent. He definitely has like days where he's on fire, and then he has days where he is not on fire. He doesn't have a consistent tight spiral that you would like from a top quarterback. He has some ducks in his arsenal, and he will throw them.
He's also another transfer guy.
Where do
He
you come
was
from?
originally at Arizona State and transferred to LSU. Didn't play that great at Arizona State, and I think that might be what holding me back.
I gotcha. He's also not great with reading defense, especially if they have like late movement. It'll catch him by surprise, and it typically doesn't end well. But
So typically he would struggle against a Vic Fangio style defense.
exactly. But let's talk about his pros. He's great when it comes to in the quick game, like quick hitters. He's great. Get him into a rhythm. He's elite, right? He definitely can escape a pocket, and he can make you pay for it. He doesn't panic. He has great poise in the pocket, and then he has a super quick release, which is important because I remember whenever Tim Tebow came out of college, and this is back whenever I just didn't understand. I was like, why do they hate him for it? Well, because he cocks his elbow back, brings the ball all the way around, and then throws it, which takes about a full second if you're keeping count at home. But
and that's in the NFL. That's way too long.
yeah, definitely is. And he's very good with using his eyes to manipulate defenders. So I mean, he has like the mindset to be a great quarterback. And if you play zone, he can read his zone. He can tear his own apart. So he has potential. It's just you always worry about smaller framed quarterbacks coming out. I know Bryce Young isn't the tallest guy, but he's also one of the smaller guys. You worry about him every time he takes a hit. Because anytime I saw the Panthers on my screen and I saw him get tackled, I pray that he got up because I feel bad for him. And by the way, I don't know why we're talking about Bryce Young in this draft show, but I hope he does good. I feel bad. I feel so bad for him. During the year, you could tell like he's like, man, I can feel it, man. Like everybody's
he was over.
Yeah, and there was nothing he could do.
They definitely got to get him some help.
Yeah, but yeah, I think Jaden Daniels is good, and I think this fourth spot is worthy. I like him probably a lot more than the next guy, which you and I can go back and forth on that one. But I think any team would be lucky to have him, especially in an offense and a system that caters to his play style. I think he can be great. I think he goes in the first round. I think that's a no-brainer. You got him as a day one pick as well.
Yeah, I do. But I don't. To me, it would be a mistake if he went the second overall pick. Because so let's just think about this from a draft point here. If you are the Commanders, let me ask you this. Let me call up Chase right now and ask him.
Okay.
Chase, so the Chicago Bears decided to take Caleb Williams. Marvin Harrison or Jaden Daniels is sitting on the board. Where are you going with it?
On the Commanders? That what you said?
Yeah.
No. I think you can. Well, Drake May's still on the board, by the way. Just throwing it out there. He's on the board.
See, right. I mean,
I would take Drake May if I was him. But if it's between Marvin Harrison and Jaden Daniels, I think that you can survive one more year with Sam Howell or another bridge quarterback you can sign in free agency. But Marvin Harrison is going to be a talent. So
yeah. To me, Jaden Daniels isn't like the number 2 overall pick isn't justified for Jaden Daniels, just because I think of the team's situation, what they have going, if that makes sense.
I gotcha. Well, I like him. You hate him. We'll move on to the guy you like, I guess. This guy right here. Tell me what you know about him.
So Michael Penix is another transfer guy, originally at Indiana with Coach Kalen DeBoer. Followed Kalen DeBoer to Washington. Michael Penix, to me, has done nothing but progress every year that he's played college football. He wasn't bad at Indiana, but you got to remember the talent around him wasn't also the greatest. He was at Indiana. Left Indiana, went to Washington, played really good last year, decided to come back. And this year, to me, I don't know. I've been on like the Michael Penix kind of hype train here as of late. I watched a lot of Washington games, and to me, the guy is just a proven, like he can play in any environment and play in under any circumstance. The game against Texas, absolutely balled out. Like could not play any better. He's kind of got a weird. The only knock on him, I think, he's got a like weird delivery. It looks like he grips the ball like complete to the. So like you know how you grip a football, you want your first two fingers kind of towards the tail end of the ball. It looks like Michael Penix grips the ball directly like in the middle of the football. And his delivery is kind of weird. Yeah, his release is kind of weird, but he can make any throw. He throws an excellent deep ball. Puts a lot of touch on it. And he puts a lot of zip on the intermediate routes. Come from a dynamic, almost NFL style offense with Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb, the offensive coordinator. I'm not going to say he was a product of his weapons around him because you got to think he played with those weapons last year, like the year before. All those guys are still there. I just think he's coming from a really good situation, and to me, he could thrive in any style of NFL offense. And he's mobile. I mean, he can move.
Well, I have a couple of knocks on him. One, he's stiff, and that's never good to be stiff, right? And then he's had 2 torn ACLs, 2018, 2020, and then he has shoulder joint issues, which as a quarterback, that's not good. But yeah, I mean, you said it. He has elite arm talent. Rightfully so. He's number 3 on our top 10. He's okay. So people are want to tell you that he's not mobile at all. So you think that he is mobile enough for the NFL?
I think he's mobile enough, but he was just never really asked to do so at Washington. Like you turn on the tape, you don't hardly ever see him run around. But to me, I mean, he's got it. Truly, he's got it in him enough to. If he has to evade the pocket, he can.
Yeah. Another downside, and it's not really like a downside, but it could be kind of annoying, especially if he does take over. So let's say he gets picked, right, and he starts the year as a backup, right? I've never been in a coach's room, but starter goes down, backup comes in. He's left-handed. What are we doing now? Just mirroring it. It could cause some issues. So that could be tough, but like I said, it's not his job. It's not his responsibility. It's on the coaches. But yeah, he has drive in his passes. He has accuracy. He's consistent. He has field vision. He has arm strength. He's great. You know, whenever the pocket breaks down, he's got to move. He has everything. And I mean, a team's going to be lucky.
And another
with
thing, just from a competitive standpoint, to think of it from a competitive standpoint, look at the teams that Washington had to play against and won those games. Beat Oregon twice this year, and then played Texas in the semifinal. Nobody, if you follow college football, you would think that Texas is surely going to beat Washington. And he played extremely well in all three of those games.
Yep. So somebody's going to get lucky, and good for them. It just his whole NFL career is going to depend on if he can stay healthy, and I hope he does. Hope he does. Now here's another guy that to me seems like the consensus number 2 in the draft. Clearly, some people have changed their minds and through Jaden Daniels, like we said, into that mix. But Drake May from North Carolina. What do you know about him? What's some of the strengths? What's some of his weaknesses?
So his strengths, we kind of have been talking about it this whole show. His strength is he is an excellent pocket passer. Like any throw that you can think of, he can make. His weaknesses, he's not a very athletic guy. For anybody who remembers Luke May, who hit the shot against Kentucky.
I do.
Yeah. This is
that
actually
was whenever
his little brother.
Malik Monk and De'Aaron Fox were still in college.
Right. So this is Luke May's little brother. Them two, kind of the pride of UNC sports here for these past couple years. But so like when we've been talking about on this show, athleticism, the way the NFL is changing, the way the NFL is moving. To me, he's kind of got the same amount of athleticism as quarterbacks, as in like Joe Burrow. Can move. You don't
just
want to
enough.
move. Yeah, they can move just enough. But you also got to think with the quarterback of Joe Burrow, he can make whatever throw you need him to make. He will stand in the pocket and he will kill you. He will eat you alive. That's what I think of with Drake May. I can't harp on enough just the amount of arm talent and decision making that this kid has.
Yeah. Do you think that he has a chance to go number 1?
No, not with the style of offense the Bears run. My biggest thing is I don't know if, like for the Bears, do you think they could go Caleb Williams? Do you think they will go Caleb Williams? Like, because this past week, a lot has been talked about of like, there's been multiple teams interested in Justin Fields.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I've read was, the Bears essentially playing chess and, knowing that like they'd be fine with Drake May. They're just trading it to the Commanders, picking up some more picks and taking Drake May, and being okay with it. And on top of that, who don't they have 2 top 10 picks?
Yeah.
They're in a good spot. They can be even a better spot because jumping up from 2 to 1 costs a lot. So I don't know, but also passing up on Caleb Williams might be like a regret you might have.
Like a generational regret.
It could be. It could definitely be. But I mean, I don't think you can go wrong with Drake May at all. I think some people have him. I think they have him as like the number 1 quarterback. But I think Caleb Williams, and we'll get to him in a second. Obviously, spoiler alert, he's number 1. And if you didn't think he was number 1, that's just saying who number 2 is, you might not know ball, and we'll teach you. We'll teach you about ball. But I mean, Drake May's tall, 6'4", 232, so he has a size. He's younger than most of these guys on this list too. He's a junior. He didn't redshirt at all, so He's probably like 21, 22.
Yeah.
Coming in the draft. So that's already a positive. He can make any pass. Any pass you need him to make, he can make it. He has great zip on his passes.
You brought up the point earlier in the show. Say if this quarterback class came 10, 15 years ago, Drake May would be the generational type projected player in this draft class.
Yeah, and I still think he can be. He's not a one read quarterback. He can progress, which is what a lot of these guys don't have, is the ability to progress to different read. So like he's already like, I think, pro ready. And I do think that out of the 10 guys here,
he is the most pro ready quarterback.
I think he will have the best rookie year out of all these guys. And I can say that with almost 100% certainty, just because of what he has and what he's been asked to do. So I think he might be. I almost want to put him as number one for me personally, but I completely agree why Caleb Williams number one. But Drake May's going to get.
I have negatives about Caleb Williams, but like I think some of his positives outweigh the aspect of the negatives. Right.
Yeah. I do think that Drake May can succeed with one of these lower tier teams that are going to pick him up. But think about this.
Just imagine, I don't think this will ever happen, but say he does fall in the draft for some reason. If he falls to an NFC team that is like kind of on the brink of it, the Vikings, I would be fucking terrified. Like, you know what I mean? Like that'd be a scary team.
Yeah, I think the thing that could take him down is definitely his combine, his workouts. If he runs a slow 40, he's not athletic, and obviously a lot of GMs do just that weighs heavy on their evaluations. So,
but to me, he's gonna win the on the field drills, the throwing drills.
Yeah. And you want to see just perfect zip on a ball. You want to see a tight spiral. You want to see somebody that can push the ball outside the numbers. With
great mechanics when he throws too.
Yeah, so
like he looks like an NFL. It looks like an NFL throw.
Yeah, and I think that whoever gets him will be a contender for a while, as long as he obviously stays healthy and continues to grow. Because this is definitely, he's not a finished product at all. None of these guys are, but if you get him in a system with a quarterback coach or even an offensive coordinator that cares, especially if you get a head coach that is like the guy on offense, he's going to succeed. And I hope that
this is going to sound terrible. This is going to sound awful, but he would be like the perfect thing to happen to a Kellen Moore style offense.
Yeah. I
get him with like a young. Well, no, that's not. I'm taking the aspect of like Jalen away. You put him with like a young mind in Kellen Moore. Good luck stopping him.
Yeah, I worry that he's not going to be put in a system that's like
that. To me, that's the only thing
offense.
that could bring him down is he goes to a terrible system.
Yeah,
but you got to think if you invest so much, if you invest in a quarterback that high and it doesn't work, you change the system. Like you change the system to his strengths.
Yeah, that's true. It's up to the coaching staff at that point. But where do you think he goes? You think he goes 1, 2 later?
So who has the third?
Jeez, I couldn't tell you, to be honest. Let me look it up real quick.
I haven't looked at the draft order in a long time.
Yeah, I've only been doing Eagles. We're going to come out with our own mock draft soon, especially once it gets a little bit closer. Let's see. It's the Patriots.
See, right there, if he went to the Patriots, not Bill Belichick run no more. I mean, if Jared Mayo, I don't know who he's decided to bring in offensive coordinator, but if you get him with a young offensive coordinator, you know that team right there is going to be a player-led team. You know what I mean? Jared Mayo has played the game. He's a young coach, deserving of it. That's to me could be like a home run pick for the Patriots.
Yeah, just like C.J. Stroud and D'Amico.
Right.
But I mean, the top 5 picks: Carolina, or no, a lot. Bears, Washington, New England, Arizona, and the Chargers.
Chargers, I don't think would never draft a quarterback.
Giants aren't picking a quarterback that high this year, I don't think. Tennessee's probably not. Atlanta could. Chicago's not going to not pick a quarterback in the first pick and the pick at night.
Atlanta could be a very good spot for him, but I don't think he ever makes it to that number 8.
Definitely not. I think Jaden Daniels is going to go to Atlanta. I think that's the pick.
That'd be kind of scary.
Yeah. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about our number one guy, Caleb Williams, from the USC, the real USC. Fun fact: South Carolina people. I couldn't say the word I wanted to say, so I gave up on it. They call South Carolina USC. I don't ever acknowledge that. That is not my USC. Ever since I've grown up, USC has always been Southern California. But Bryce, tell me about Caleb Williams. Why is he number 1? Why is he the generational talent?
All right. So with Caleb Williams, I was very fortunate enough to watch him in person in a USC Notre Dame game. He did not have a good game that game. But there are some takeaways I took from that game. And the people I was talking to, we were sitting there talking. He made some throws during that game. You're like, holy shit. I was like, I've never seen somebody throw with as much like velocity that he threw that ball with, or as much touch as anybody's thrown that kind of ball with. You know what I mean? Like, he makes some kind of wonky decisions. But let me start with the negatives. Chasen, I think you can agree with this. He is an emotional person. If something does not go his way, he is very emotional about it. Talked about the video that came out of him losing that game, jumping up in the stands in his mother's arms and crying. That, if an old style GM seen that, nah, we're good. You know what I mean? Like they're not picking on that. But to me, his positives, man, he's an athletic guy. He can run the ball. His comparison that has been coming out about him all the time is Patrick Mahomes. To me, Jason, I swear to God, I know this sounds crazy. He has much better, like he has much more arm talent than Patrick Mahomes does. Like, because they're kind of on the same brink of athleticism. I think Caleb might be a little bit faster, but Patrick Mahomes is also a bigger guy than Caleb is. I can't remember how tall Caleb is. Caleb's like 6'1", 6'2", probably. I can't, around there, maybe.
Yeah. Let me pull it up again. I think he's 6'1", 215.
Yeah. Kind of a thicker guy for that frame. But like, if you immediately turn on the tape and if you have watched him throw on the run, it is beyond anything I've ever seen. Like, he throws with so much drive and force on the run that it's just a straight line ball. Like, that's something that I don't think I've seen in a long, long time. I don't even know who I could really compare him to. Like, when it comes to that aspect of like just as much force and drive he puts on the ball if he's on the run.
Brett Favre, baby.
I mean, it's not terrible. He's got some Brett Favre to his game. He is a gunslinger. If you want to say something about Caleb Williams, he's definitely a gunslinger.
Yeah, and with having that title, there's a negative that comes with it, and sometimes, if you know you have good arm talent, sometimes you lean on that a little too much, and you start going big game hunting. You try to force a big play whenever it's just not there, and the check down or that little 5-yard route that's there that you don't want to look at is open. But there's a lot of good in his game, but there's also some bad. Like, for example, what you said, when it comes to out of structure plays, he's great. On the run, he has it. Only issue is when he's out of structure, sometimes he gets a little careless with the ball. He's athletic, but he's not super explosive. So it's smooth, I guess you could say. So when it comes to out of structure players, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. Sometimes he's going to frustrate you with a fumble because he's just not securing the ball like he should.
Right.
Then, of course, there are we've seen this year high pressure moments. He has mental lapses, and he's prone to make mistakes, especially whenever inside pressure gets in his face. Doesn't like it, right? Nobody likes it. Nobody's going to succeed in that. But I don't necessarily think that anybody's going to stand in the pocket the first year in the NFL and make a big time play. But
right.
He struggles with that. And then he hesitates quite a bit, and he'll miss his initial read. And then, of course, now we're back to the out of structure plays, which in college, I feel like you can bail yourself out a lot more than you can in the NFL. Yeah.
You can get away with that.
But like you said, he has elite arm talent. He is athletic, and he's going to make you pay with his legs. He's smooth. He can run RPO style offense. He can run a pro style offense. Whatever offense that he gets drafted to, he can probably run it, and he can probably be a fit. He has Patrick Mahomes in him. He can make any throw on the run, in the pocket, drifting off to the side, diving. He can make the throw. But he is elite. He is elite, and he's going to be a day one starter for a team, and it's going to be flashy. It's going to be just like Patrick Mahomes in a way. And I can see him getting to that level.
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, as somebody who hadn't watched a lot of college football, he was all over any type of ESPN, whatever it was, Bleacher Report. He was all over. He's not a one read quarterback. He can progress through his reads. So like I said, he has everything you want. And if you're a GM, mouth is watering, especially if you have the first pick, unless you're the Bears. You might like Drake May a little bit more. But yeah, I can't see
his negatives. I don't know, like his mental if he plays bad in a game and his team starts to decline, you can watch him throughout that process of the game. Like his just mental toughness, and looks like he's just doesn't want to be out there anymore. He's kind of got a problem with that. I'm not a fan. Well, this sounds crazy, but it makes me sound like an old head. When he paints his fingers and he paints like "fuck you fuck UCLA" on one of them, or all that. Turns out I'm pretty sure he lost to them one time, or he's lost a couple games that he's done that. I'm pretty sure he did against Utah. I know that. He wrote "fuck Utah" on his fingers and lost that game. I mean, come on now.
You get clowned.
Yeah, right.
But like I said, you're playing grown men in the NFL. It's not college anymore. You might need to stop doing that. Stop giving bulletin board material because they'll whoop your ass. But like I said, he's
Go ahead and give Chris Jones a reason to not take off a rep, if that makes sense. Don't give him a reason to take off a snap.
Because
if you do all this extra shit and you realize that they can get to you and that you can be frustrated easily in this league, that's what they do with rookie quarterbacks. If they can just sense that you are a bit frustrated, a bit tired, it's blood in the water to a defensive coordinator and defensive lineman. They will kill you.
Yeah. I think the last thing I'll say about Caleb Williams, and then we'll wrap up this show, is you said it best. Whenever he's losing, his body language shows that he doesn't want to play anymore. He's not interested, and I think if you get drafted by the Bears, sorry, Jake and Logan, if you're listening, I don't think they're going to be good this year. I think that they have a chance to be good in the long run, but they're not going to be great this year. So if he's losing, who knows what's going to happen with him.
Have fun watching your starting quarterback pout on the sideline.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that was today's show, man. It was a fun one. Glad to get to the first draft show out of the way. There'll be many more to come. I think, what do you want to do next time? Wide receivers, running backs?
Let's do wide receivers.
Wide receivers will be next. I'll do our top 10 wide receivers. We'll go through each position, and then we'll eventually get our big board out and do mock drafts and all that. I'm excited. We're only 62 days away from the draft. What is it? It's 67 days. 67 days, 2 hours, 7 minutes, 57 seconds until the draft. We have plenty of content to put out. Until then, when the draft comes out, we'll have our live show, and after the draft, we'll give our grades. It'll be fun. It'll be a fun time for us, and thank you for listening. For those of you who are listening on YouTube or Twitch, if you are watching, follow on Twitch and subscribe to us on YouTube. I can't remember what the language was for each of those websites. And follow us on all socials at the link lineup. If you're watching the replay or you're listening on, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever your platform is, give us a like, leave us a review, follow the show. And, if you're watching on YouTube, after this is all said and done, like, comment, subscribe. But yeah, man, shout out to TickPick. Once again, if you are looking to go to a concert, baseball game, basketball game, soccer, hockey, whatever the case may be, use TickPick, as they have no service fees, and the price you see is the price you pay. We will have all of our links in our link tree that we will link as in the description of this video and the listening on the streaming platforms. But yeah, until next time. I don't want to say go Birds because this is a draft show, but we'll see you guys next time. See you.